On the distant world of Kiln, political prisoners are exploited to serve the mandate of an authoritarian government, and to solve the riddle of an alien biology and the missing builders of an ancient civilization in Adrian Tchaikovsky's Alien Clay. So for today's video, I'm going to give a review of Alien Clay by Adrian Tchaikovsky. It's one of his more recent releases over the last couple of years, although he's had quite a few releases over the last couple of years. This one is a science fiction novel set on an alien planet with a colony of humans living in this fascist labor camp for political prisoners. While this novel is it's set on an alien planet, it's full of alien life, all kinds of it's got a whole ecosystem. This planet Kiln, it's got its own biology, plant life, animal life, everything that you could think of that would be on a planet teeming with life. But this is very much a story of political oppression and the cruelty of a fascist government. So we have this situation where political prisoners on Earth get sent off to different planets as kind of a form of exile and punishment. And when they get to these planets, they are forced to perform some kind of labor, be it mining the resources, or in the case of alien clay on Kiln, they get used for to advance this government's form of science. So they get sent out into this hostile alien world and kind of used almost as kind of human experiments to see how the alien biology affects them. And kind of the justification behind this is that robotics and artificial mechanisms and vehicles are too expensive to send out to these places. They're too expensive to build and maintain, but there's a ready supply of prisoners on Earth that can be sent there cheaply, and they're expendable, and they require a lot smaller maintenance than a mechanical device would. So we have this setup with this authoritarian government, and their main purpose is to fill the mandate with a capital M. And this is kind of like a kind of a manifest destiny of humanity, where there's this main orthodoxy, this view that the universe is made for and to be exploited by humanity. Humanity is kind of the center of the universe, and everything exists for humans to do what they will with it. So that's kind of the main view of this government. And what this also does is kind of limit, while the government does encourage scientific advancement and knowledge, it's kind of limited in the narrow range of the scientific method, and exploration and discovery has to be in this kind of tunnel vision of everything was made for man, the human being. So this upright walking, 2 legs, 2 arms, humanoid form is like the peak of what the universe can create. So the scientific method is limited, and that everything that is discovered has to point to that fact, this mandate of humanity. So that does kind of limit the scientific discoveries, and this especially is limiting of the science on Kiln. So Kiln is this alien planet, has a very different form of alien life than what humanity is used to. It is it's hostile. It's difficult to understand. Everything that exists on Kiln, every species of life, is like an amalgamation of species all coming together. It is a planet of parasites and symbiotes taken to the extreme. So an individual biological entity on Kiln will be made up of several different species of animals. So for instance, an eyeball might be the species of another animal living in the host organism. And then like its leg or its arm is another species, its organs are different species, all coming together to form this one biological entity. It's kind of like a swap and trade system with these animals. So, if it's not working out in this one life form, the eyeball could jump off and go to another form of life. So it's not this distinct entity like humanity is. And there's this fear on the labor camp that if a person gets infected with alien life, it'll kind of slowly start to assimilate them, and bad things will happen to the person. And this is actually seen. So when we're on the labor camp, we see some examples of people who faced the extreme displeasure of this commander that's in charge of the labor camp, and they were allowed to kind of be exposed to all the alien life, and it led to them kind of going mad and being infested with all these different species attached to them. So while we have this story that's about this strange and alien planet with this hostile life that's just kind of waiting to assimilate humanity into its biological puzzle, this book is first and foremost a story about political oppression. Oftentimes, the alien ecosystem aspect of it kind of takes a back seat to the political plot on the labor camp. So we have this labor camp on Kiln with all these political prisoners in it, and there's some rebellion going on. There's some resistance. The prisoners are kind of banding together, and some of them, there's some infighting. Some of them are trying to betray each other to get better benefits, while others are trying to form groups to kind of fight back against the commander. The novel begins with a Professor Artin Dogdev, and he's awakened aboard this transport ship up in orbit around Kiln and thrown into the atmosphere of Kiln, into this hostile planet teeming with this biological life. And then he arrives, lands down on the surface, and gets sent to this labor camp. And Artin was a political activist on Earth, and he was resisting the tyrannical government of the Mandate there. And then he was caught, of course, and sent to the labor camp on Kiln. And it also turns out he's a xenoecologist, so he's kind of ideally suited to studying and unlocking the mysteries of alien life on Kiln. And there's also this other kind of mystery aspect going on with this ancient set of ruins that shows some evidence of intelligent life, but there are no traces of the builders on the planet. They can't find any biological remnants of them, any fossils. All they have are these big ruins that they've built. So kind of the main thing that's happening here is this labor camp is being used to figure out what these ancient builders are. How did the ancient ruins get built? Where are the builders themselves? But it's being done so through this brutal government. This commander, his name is Commandant Tellerin, and he kind of uses all his political prisoners to, well, some of them are sent to kind of the mines, others are used to get sent out into Kiln to kind of clear out these ancient ruins and get exposed to the alien life so the ruins can be studied. And they're really just used as throwaway people because life is very hostile. But the main story overall is definitely this the camp politics, this rebellion plot, which is a very fast-paced story. I would have liked to have seen a little more from the alien ecosystem than we did. A little more of the kind of like the scientific method being applied. But many times because of this mandate government, the scientific method can't be appropriately applied. But what we do see of this, I really enjoyed. It's a very fascinating biology on this planet. It's very alien. And aside from that, I mean the political story, the rebellion, the resistance, it's a really good story as well. So I think if you're looking to go into this mainly for the alien biology, that's maybe 30, maybe 40% of the novel. Then most of the novel is the rest of the story, the political story. But I don't think you should shy away from this novel because of this. Because the main plot of the story is really good. It has a lot of interesting aspects about politics and authoritarianism and resistance and all that sort of thing. So I think with kind of these two aspects coming together, it really makes for a great novel. So overall, for my review of this, kind of my rating out of 5 stars, I'm going to give Alien Clay a 4 out of 5 stars. This novel is a gripping story with a fascinating look at an alien planet and a quick-placed, intriguing plot of a prison labor camp and resistance to an oppressive government. Tchaikovsky's brilliance and unique exploration of science fiction is on full display of this novel. And I think definitely if you're already a fan of Tchaikovsky, you're really going to like this novel. If you haven't read Tchaikovsky yet, go read Children of Time, and then you can read this novel. I don't think it's a standalone novel, so you could really read it at any time. It can be your first novel. Your first novel doesn't have to be Children of Time for Tchaikovsky. This one could be a good look at what Tchaikovsky can do, although I would recommend you go read Children of Time. But if you're looking for something a little bit shorter, a little more fast-paced, Alien Clay is going to be a good place to start. And if you've already read a lot of Tchaikovsky, like I said, it's also, I think you're going to really enjoy this novel. So with all that said, I'd like to get into some of the science fiction concepts that are explored in this novel. And I'll talk kind of briefly about them one at a time, and hopefully you can find something in there that interests you. So for the science fiction concepts, we have an alien clay. We have space travel, of course, so political prisoners are sent into space to different planets. In this case of alien clay, they are sent to Kiln. And so we don't get a whole lot of the space travel. Just kind of mentions that there are these spaceships that transport people to other planets. The space travel is slow, so it takes them many years to get from one planet to the next. So there's no faster than light travel going on or anything like that. And it also kind of adds an interesting aspect in that every time that Kiln gets a new set of prisoners, it's been like 30 or 40 or 50 years on Earth that has passed. So Kiln is a little outdated on what's going on with the political situation on Earth and things like that. And then we also have kind of a dystopian situation going on with this authoritarian government. We have this adherence to the mandate. We have really people not getting treated very well. Obviously, they're getting sent to these prison labor camps. So it's really a dystopian universe that humanity is living in here. And then, of course, we have this concept of an alien planet with alien life and alien biology and alien ecosystem. So you can kind of see a little bit on the cover of the book. It has all these crazy looking planets that are different from what you'd see on Earth, and all kinds of different organisms that I've talked a little bit about how different the biology there is. Each species on Kiln is made up of a bunch of other different species that have all come together and formed kind of one biological unit. The surface of the planet is just filled with kind of plant life analogs, and there are these giant creatures that they encounter on the planet. They're described as elephants, but they're not really elephants. They're quite different. They're just these big three-legged animals with trunks that cause some problems. So yeah, we have a lot of really interesting alien biology here. Definitely my favorite concept from this novel. And while I wish we would have gotten a little more of it, I did really like what we got from this novel. So if you're looking for a novel that explores an alien world, I think you're going to get what you want out of Alien Clay. And for the last concept I'm going to talk about here, we have these domed settlements. So the political prison camp is in a dome. While they can kind of breathe the air, they have to wear these air filters to keep out the alien life that's floating through the air around them. So they live in these domed environments to kind of isolate themselves from the alien life. And that's really kind of all it is as far as the sci-fi concepts. They're very kind of confined to this planet and this dystopian government. And aside from that, Tchaikovsky doesn't really explore into other other aspects of science fiction. There's no robots or AI or anything like that. So it's a very narrow, very confined set of science fiction concepts, but that doesn't detract from the novel. It still leads to a really good novel, and I think it's going to be one that I would recommend to anyone. So overall, I really enjoyed this novel. Like I said, it's a 4 out of 5. Definitely a recommended Adrian Tchaikovsky. And it's kind of similar to one of his other novels, Shroud, that came out in 2025. Shroud was my favorite novel of the year. Comparing this novel to Shroud, because they're kind of in a similar, both exploring alien planets type of thing. Shroud is definitely my favorite of the two. But with that said, Shroud is, it was my favorite read of the year out of everything. Even though I'd recommend Shroud over Alien Clay, you should definitely still read Alien Clay. I could see these kind of being read together, Shroud and Alien Clay, because they're both got some similar themes to them, similar concepts. Kind of gives you a good taste of what Adrian Tchaikovsky. Adrian Tchaikovsky would be a good name for him though, because he writes these really interesting books about aliens. But anyway, so if you want, you could almost call them sister reads, I would think, because reading these two together would be really fun, I think. Yeah, definitely check out Alien Clay. Let me know in the comments if you've read Alien Clay or what other Tchaikovsky novels you've read. Thank you for watching. Don't forget to like and subscribe, and I'll see you next time.